Hi, I'm Irving, and I have no life, just like you. As you're going after these three guys, one of the machines will give you one of my favorite tonics, Booze Hound. Without this tonic, if you drink any of the alcoholic beverages that are lying all over the place, they boost your health but take your EVE down. With the Booze Hound tonic, you gain EVE every time you imbibe. Nice! So I'm gonna put a little spoiler in here. Every last one of these guys that Cohen wants you to kill is a Houdini splicer. And there are spider splicers all over the place, so have your camera ready to take pictures of them so you can gain research points and make them easier to deal with. It really does make a difference. You locate the third guy in a place called Eve's Garden, where you also discover some really shady things that were going on in Rapture. Things that included both Ryan and our supposed friend Tenenbaum.
That creepy Dr. Tenenbaum promised me it wasn't going to be a real pregnancy. They just take the egg out once Mr. Ryan and I had... Well, I needed the money so bad. But I know Mr. Ryan's going to suss it out. Going to know I wasn't being careful. Going to know I sold the... Mr. Ryan's going to be so mad at me.
After you kill these three guys, you take the final picture to Cohen's masterpiece. Of course, he comes down to take all the credit for it. Credit from whom? I have no idea, but apparently he's hearing applause from somewhere. He tells you that the way to Ryan is now clear. What was blocking it up to this point? I have no idea. But off you go to the bathysphere again, this time to go to a place called Hephaestus and finally meet Ryan face to face. Isn't that what Atlas said we were going to find at Fort Frolic? Oh well, as with so many other things, just go with it. And if you think getting to Ryan is as easy as taking a bathysphere ride, you really haven't been paying attention. He's protected like you won't believe. And you actually end up building an EMP bomb and basically destroying the power core of the whole city to get past his locks. As you're doing that, he keeps taunting you with hints about how you just happened to crash on top of a hidden city at the bottom of the ocean, out in the middle of nowhere, asks why this place seems familiar to you, all kinds of hints that you've been here before and just don't know it. What's he talking about? You finally get past all his magnetic locks and whatever else he has in place, and when you get to his outer office, you find this.
Is that the... She's very pretty.
Thank you, Papa Sushon.
Break her neck for me.
What?
Break that sweet puppy's neck. No, please. Break that puppy's neck. Would you kindly? No! No! Very good.
Whoa! Atlas has been using that phrase all through the game. Could it be... No, it couldn't. Could it?
Sit, would you kindly? Stand, would you kindly? Stop! Sir. A man chooses, a slave obeys. Kill!
It took me a few times through to understand why Ryan went ahead and had you kill him. But he'd already set the whole city to self-destruct, that's why it's crashing and banging like that. He decided he'd rather destroy the whole thing than let Atlas have it, so he figured he was going to die with the city anyway. Might as well let his death serve as an object lesson for you about the difference between a man and a slave.
Hurry now! Grab Ryan's genetic key! Now would you kindly put it in that goddamn machine?
Of course, that all backfires on him because you immediately grab his genetic key and shut off the self-destruct machine. Too bad Ryan's vast intelligence didn't see that coming.
It's time to end this little masquerade. There ain't no Atlas, kid. Never was. Selling my line of work takes on a variety of aliases. Hell, once I was even a Chinaman for 6 months. But you've been a sworn, so I guess I owe you a little honesty. The name's Frank Fontaine.
Good heavens! Atlas is Frank Fontaine! Actually, I think most everybody could see that coming. Why? Because the average story writer doesn't build a character up like that and not have him turn out to be the villain. And these guys are definitely average writers. Why do I say that? Because an excellent writer might have gone ahead and had Fontaine be dead, and Atlas is some deranged disciple of his who's only mentioned in passing once or twice. Or he might have been Andrew Ryan trying to find a way to move and get his city back from Fontaine's organization. There's lots of ways it could have been done, but it is what it is, so we just go with it. Fontaine is Atlas, and now he sent his bots to kill you. The first task, of course, is to stay alive and get to safety, whatever that is. Help comes from an unexpected source when a couple of those little girls appear and lead you to a hidden tunnel. Trouble is, they know something you don't. That tunnel ends in a big hole where you get dropped on your head. Thanks, kids. Really. When you wake up, Tenenbaum is talking to you. She's undone some of Fontaine's mental conditioning, but not all of it. Dr. Suchong was the architect of your mind control, so you need to search his place to find an antidote. Yeah, that's all you need to do. In Suchong's place, you find a diary saying that Fontaine has the antidote, which we learn is called Lot 192. Fortunately, there's another diary by a guy just called Paparazzi, and he gives you the code for the elevator to Fontaine's private suite. There you find Lot 192 and drink it. Yeah, it removes his mind control, but it also makes your plasmids go bonkers. Suddenly you have no control over which one you're using, and it keeps changing at random intervals. Tenenbaum knows the answer to this though. Get to Suchong's lab, which is in yet another part of the city, and get another dose of Lot 192. Then you put the lime in the coconut and call me in the morning. Wait, that was something else. Next stop, Apollo Square. So you're running around and your plasmid keeps changing like this.
Come on. Please.
Incidentally, you'll notice that every few seconds that clip was freezing. That's not a problem with the clip, it's a problem with the game, or at least my copy of it. A different copy that I played about a year ago didn't do that, and I have no idea why this one is doing it. But I digress. The funny part about this random switching of plasmids is, you just saw me using a couple of plasmids called Target, Dummy, and Enrage. I never bought either one of them. It doesn't just cycle through the plasmids you actually own, it cycles through all the plasmids available in the game. Another one it takes me through is Incinerate 3, which is a second upgrade to the original Incinerate plasmid. I only bought Incinerate 2. It's clearly a glitch, but it's a handy one at times because it gives you abilities you didn't have before. Say it with me, just go with it. The arrow guides you to Suchong's clinic, where you find the second dose of Lot 192. You also find a diary by good old Suchong himself. He's talking about building the protection instincts into the big daddies, but he doesn't seem to know what he's talking about. One of the little girls is trying to get his attention while he's dictating, and he finally loses his temper and smacks her. Bad idea. The diary ends with her big daddy bringing an end to Suchong. If you've been following his other diaries, you find this termination quite gratifying, not to say poetic. So now that you're free of Fontaine's control and have control of your plasmids again, you need to take the bathysphere to Point Prometheus in preparation for a showdown with Fontaine himself. This should be simple and straightforward, right? Sure. I can't really show you clips from here on, because for some weird reason my copy started getting twitchy and freezing every few seconds, and I don't want to subject you to that any more than I already did in that last clip. You chase Fontaine into a place, but naturally you can't catch him and he slips through a special door. Tenenbaum tells you the only way you can get through it is to have one of the little girls open it for you. To do that, you have to become a big daddy because that's the only way they'll trust you. Now, back when you were in Tenenbaum's place, assuming you've been rescuing the girls, they were all talking about how you saved them and you're there to help them and all this. But suddenly, the only way one of them will trust you is if you look, act, and smell like a big daddy. So you have to go gather the parts to a big daddy suit, call a little sister, and have her open the door and guide you through to Fontaine's hideaway. But if you look at the door, it's made of wood. Why can't you just use your Incinerate plasmid to burn it down, or use your grenade launcher to blow it up, or use your machine gun to shoot through it, or use any of a gazillion other possible ways to get past it? Because the game says so, dummy, so just do it. But opening the first door is just, well, the first step. The little girl has to escort you for a long way, and your job is to keep her alive just like a real big daddy would. Tenenbaum has already told you that the atom they collect and drink makes them practically invulnerable, and if one is wounded, she heals almost instantly. But the splicers are going to do their best to kill your little sister anyway, so be ready. If your little sister gets killed, you can always summon another one, but see if you can get all the way through this part without losing one. So far, I've managed to do so once. I'll be interested to know if you can. Here's a hint. Try to stay in front of her. That way the splicers will come out from behind you both and you'll still be screwed. So you escort her to an elevator that'll take you to Fontaine. And as she climbs into a vent to leave you, she gives you her red syringe thing so that you can drain Fontaine's atom, because that's apparently the only way to kill him. It's showdown time! This is what Frank Fontaine has become. The four dealy-bobs to the left are what you have to do. He's loaded with atom right now, but while he's in that machine, he's vulnerable. So you run up to him and drain the atom that's in him at the moment. As you may have guessed by now, you have to do that 4 times. And in between times, he comes down off the machine and hits you with everything he has. And oh, he has plenty. You have to figure out on the fly which plasmids and weapons will drain his health enough to force him back into the machine where you can drain him again. He has the health meter like all your other enemies, and he's as tough as anything you've faced. Once you've drained him the 4th time, we move to a cut scene that's worth showing in its entirety.
What you want? Even that life you thought you had? That was something I dreamed up and had tattooed inside your head. Now, if you don't call that family, I know what is! And now...
Fontaine's end is kind of poetic, but it's also intensely ugly. That squishing sound from the atom syringes could give you nightmares. Thankfully, you get one more cutscene to soften the blow. I'm not showing that because it's different depending on whether you've been rescuing or harvesting or both. So I guess that means you have to play the game more than once to see the difference. Aw, darn. We do have some plot holes. Fontaine keeps talking about how he and Tenenbaum put you on a submarine, planted memories of a land-based family and upbringing in your mind, and sent you on your way. Why? And why did he call you back now? How did Ryan lose control of Rapture so completely? As we pick up diaries along our path, many of them talk about a sort of martial law, people being rounded up in the streets, mass executions, and other chaotic events. What's that all about? Fontaine apparently came in as an entrepreneur, but almost immediately started a smuggling operation and eventually moved to take over the city and depose Ryan. What brought that about? Fontaine, as we see at the end, is pretty much the splicer to end all splicers, so why didn't he go totally delusional like all the other splicers did? A lot of things are never explained, which leaves you hoping a sequel will fill in the gaps. And there is indeed a sequel, and no, it doesn't answer any of these questions. It's a whole different story that we'll look at next. Now Bioshock 3 has been announced, and I'm really hoping it'll answer some of these questions. There's only one way to find out, and that's to get it when it comes out and play it. Say it with me, aw darn. I'm Irving, and I have no life, just like you.